Colonel, can you hear me?
I hear you very well, Rich. Thanks for having me on, and greetings to everyone that's out there with the free speech movement.
Chairman, thank you for being with us. Thank you. It's an honor to have you. Thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And we're going to let you have the floor. You know what we're about. We want you to share from your heart what's going on your end, what's happening, what you're seeing, and how you can help us become a better movement.
Sure. Well, I appreciate it. And what I'll do is take maybe about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'll open it up to the floor and you can moderate some questions that can come in. But I would have never thought, after there we go. I would have thought after serving 22 years in the United States Army that we would be sitting here in the America that I love talking about free speech and how we need to promote free speech. My dad fought in the European theater during World War II. My older brother fought in Vietnam as a Marine. I have a nephew right now who's a lieutenant colonel in the Army 3 Combat Tours of Duty. And who would have believed that we would see progressivism, socialism, communism, Marxism, statism, all of the things that we have seen throughout history in the 20th century that were, without a doubt, so detrimental to individual rights and freedoms being right here on our doorsteps in the United States of America. But what has to happen, as Rich talked about, is this has to be a grassroots movement, without a doubt. This has to be an awakening of the American people, because where we are here in America right now, this is something that has been going on for the last 50, 60, 70 years. We have seen just about every single aspect of our culture and our society be overtaken by leftism. And when you look at academia, when you look at our schools, and you look at from now elementary on up through college, you look at the media, you look at the political realm, you look at the entertainment industry, just every single aspect of our society has been overrun by the left. And shame on us for sitting back, and we saw these big tech monopolies come along, the Facebook and the Twitters, controlled by the left. And the next thing you know, we find ourselves where they're squashing our ability to be able to speak. And so we have got to stand together. One of the things I'd like to see Rich and you all do, the Media Research Center, MRC, Brent Bozell, they have a Free Speech Alliance organization or group. Rich, you should contact them and be a part of that, because one of the things that we don't do very well as constitutional conservatives, we don't come together as one. There's two ways that you can fight like this and try to slap somebody. You can punch them like this. We need to come together with a strong fist and not create these silos or these little stovepipes. And we really don't have good coordination with each other and make sure that we can be effective and powerful in presenting our case. So please give a call up to the Media Research Center, Brett Bozell's organization, because like I said, they have the thing called the Free Speech Alliance, and you should be part of that. One of the things I think would be very helpful for you all to do as the free speech movement is to make sure that you are consistent with your messaging. And you all need to be looking at, in your respective parts of the country, how can you get out op-ed pieces that all hit at the same time? How can you produce videos, each and every one of you, 2 to 3 minute videos, kind of like the little videos that we see from Prager University that talk about free speech. But everyone just do it genuinely and organically, but at least we all are on the same sheet of music. And that's another way that we get our message out. A couple of weeks ago, my wife was sitting down looking at Bill Maher. Yes, my wife and I sometimes look at Bill Maher because it's important to know what the other side is thinking. But even Bill Maher is starting to come out and speak against this cancel culture. The taking down of Dr. Seuss, the taking down of Pepe Le Pew, the taking down of Speedy Gonzalez. And guess what's happening right now? I just read today that Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, but the left is saying that you cannot say Happy Mother's Day. You have to say Happy Birth Givers Day. Now, I tell you something, if I were to try to go up to my wife that I've been married to for 31 years and say Happy Birth Givers Day, I'm probably not going to have all the teeth that I have in my head, because she is a mother. She's very proud of that. And think about the insanity that started out in this House of Representatives under Nancy Pelosi's leadership, where they said you cannot say gentleman or gentlewoman or any of these things. Well, guess what? I think if they look on the driver's license, it's male and female. And so we have to start, really using the Saul Alinsky tactics of ridiculing them. I think some of y'all saw the little thing where I'm sending Oreo cookies to the Texas Democrat Party since you had a county chair that referred to Tim Scott as an Oreo. And so I think that those are some of the simple, easy ways that we can come together and we can start taking them down, because there are a lot of people that they didn't vote for this. Yeah, some people say orange man bad, Donald Trump, tweets, nasty personality, whatever, but they didn't want to sit around and see all of these different aspects of their lives being told that you can't say this, you can't do this. This is unconscionable. So we have a high ground. And so I just want to encourage you all to come together. This is a powerful group that you have here, but you just got to look at how you can expand it, how you can make sure that you seem to be a lot more than what you maybe really are as you continue to grow to that million and a half standard. The interesting thing about freedom of speech is that why you think the Second Amendment is such an important target for the left. Because our founding fathers were brilliant, because they understood that your First Amendment rights, your freedom of religion, your freedom of speech, freedom of expression, right to assemble, right to petition the government for redress of grievances, all of these things are what they call the passive rights. And those passive rights mean nothing if you don't have a Second Amendment, which is an active right to be able to defend those things against a very intrusive and onerous government. And so everything that we see happening, right now is part of a grand strategic plan. If they can disarm us, then we are no longer citizens. We no longer have a voice. We can rise up against them and petition against them. Then therefore we become subjects. And so again, I think it's a great thing for you to be able to say, our freedom of speech is protected by that Second Amendment. And why is it that we see the left so adamant about taking away a constitutional right like that? Because then what is the next constitutional right that they take away? Again, I don't know how many of you remember Mr. Bonhoeffer's quote where he said, I saw them come for one group and I said nothing. Then I saw them come for another group and I continued to say nothing. Then they came for another group and I kept silent. And then eventually they came for me and there was no one else to speak for my behalf. And so I think it's so important that we all, don't have this defeated mentality. We have to have a mentality of strength, a mentality of faith, a mentality of courage, a mentality of determination, because that's exactly what founded this country. And that's exactly what we need to persevere and preserve this great country. So freedom of speech, without a doubt, is probably critical to us, for us to be able to stand up and speak out against what we see happening. Look at what is going on in our college campuses and universities. And one of the great things I think you all should do, Rich, is if everyone there, put out an email, put out a blog post, maybe wrote an op-ed piece and define what Antifa is. How interesting it is that the left would create an organization called Antifa, which is supposedly stands for anti-fascist. But yet what they do is they go out and keep people from being able to speak and say anything in opposition to what they believe. That's the pure definition of fascism. And so what we find is that a lot of our kids, they don't really understand history. They don't understand Mussolini's fascist Italy or really what fascism is. And so one of the important parts that you all can do is to inform and educate people, is to be out there and even with your young people, get on some of these sites where the young people are and say, do you really understand what fascism is? And let me take some time to explain it to you. These people called Antifa are beating up people because they don't want them to speak freely. And so we're moving away from a time of freedom of speech to freedom of acceptable or accepted speech. And I think that's another great point that you bring out, that clear delineation, because speech is speech. And you're not supposed to be constrained by what someone else judges to be what is acceptable, as we see happening with these large social media platforms. Now, I'm going to say something that maybe some of y'all will say, I disagree with the old colonel. Maybe he had too many jumps out of airplanes and he hit his head a couple of times on the ground. But I don't want you running away from Facebook. I don't want you running away from Twitter. I want you to continue to be there on those platforms, to continue to let your voice be heard. There's a reason why I wear my paratrooper wings. First of all, I was proud to be a U.S. Army Airborne paratrooper. But if you understand what paratroopers do, paratroopers jump in behind enemy lines. And in jumping in behind enemy lines, they cause disruption. and it caused confusion. And so often we have seen the left do that to us. Now it is time we turn the tables on them, and we have to go on offense. There's no reason why we should be defending the Constitution. No reason why we should be defending our freedom of speech. And I know that Tanya just said these young people are a waste of time. I got to disagree with you, Tanya. I have two daughters, 28 and 24. And let me tell you something. My daughters were never a waste of time. And they've been through college. I mean, one of them has her a master's degree and a PA degree. The other was going through a master's degree. If we give up our children to the other side, guess what? They will take over our responsibility as parents. They will take over the responsibility we have as adults, and they will indoctrinate our children. So it is so important that we continue to have that conversation with our children. I don't know if you've heard of this podcast, a gentleman by the name of Tim Pool. Tim Pool used to be a hardcore leftist, Bernie Sanders supporter. He was one of the journalists that covered the Occupy Wall Street movement. And guess what, Tanya? Because someone engaged him. Someone just continued to talk about constitutional conservatism. Someone continued to say that, hey, look, this isn't right. The light came on for Tim Pool. And he had me on his podcast about a month and a half ago. And it was one of his most widely watched podcasts, because the wisdom that we have, we've got to impart it back to this young generation. Because when you think about our kids, what is one of the key things that our kids always say? I don't want you telling me what to do. I don't want you being involved in my life. Just let me grow up. Let me make my own decisions. Well, guess what? Then why is it that our kids are aligning themselves with control freaks? And that's the key message that you all can get out as a free speech movement, is that one day, young people, you're going to be ruled over by the control freaks. They're going to tell you what you can eat, going to tell you what you can say, what you can wear, where you can go. And in a way, it's kind of already happening now. You got to wear a mask. You have to stay in your house, all of these different type of things. The cancel culture, this is what you can say and what you can't do. Think about these comedians, even Seinfeld and Chris Rock have come out and said that, you know, we couldn't do any of this comedy today because these folks would be after us. Remember one of the most funny movies that I can ever remember? Well, two of them. One was Airplane and the other was Blazing Saddles. Do you think that Airplane and Blazing Saddles could show today? And I think that that's what we need to be able to say to the people in the entertainment industry and Hollywood, is that you really don't have any freedom of thought. You don't have freedom of conscience. You're restrained. And so there's so many ways that this platform that you have, the free speech movement, can be used to break down what is going on in our culture. Remember, these are control freaks. And none of us, as true Americans, none of us signed up to have our lives controlled. Our inalienable rights do not come from man, do not come from government. They come from the Creator God. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Part of this pursuit of happiness is us to be able to speak freely. And that's why those things were codified by our founding fathers in those very first amendments: freedom of religion and freedom of speech. And so now is such an important time for grassroots movements such as what you all have to stand up and make sure that your voices are heard. But just have focus, just be able to get out there. And it doesn't cost any money to make a YouTube video. It doesn't cost any money to, do an op-ed. It doesn't cost any money to do a blog post. It doesn't cost any money to go out there on Facebook and Twitter and just be that disruptor. So just look at those ways that you can be that silent majority, but a majority that speaks with a stentorian voice. And that's what I want you to do. The great things about snipers, sometimes you don't see where they are, but you will feel their effect. And so I'd like for you all to go out there and be those free speech snipers that are everywhere on this ideological battlefield. And I know that if there's some leftists that are on this call, they'll say that Colonel West is advocating people to go out there and shoot each other. No, this is a metaphorical thing that I'm talking about. Be the person that can be out there and get your message heard, in a very effective way, that the enemy is not able to track you and find you and shut you down. And if we hit them from all different angles, if we get them, playing whack-a-mole, like they always make us play whack-a-mole, if we can turn that on them, we'll be incredibly effective. So think about what you want to do strategically, with the free speech movement. Think about what you want to do operationally within different regions, and think about what you want to do tactically, each and every one of you on the ground wherever you are. And so, Rich, with that being said, I'm happy to take questions.
Wow, that was awesome. Awesome, Chairman. Thank you so much. You hit on something that we get asked a lot about here at our organization, and it's about the young people. We have a lot of moms and dads out there, grandparents, who are concerned about their children and grandchildren. And I have young children, and the environment that they're growing up in, and the messaging that they're hearing, it makes me concerned and afraid for what I'm leaving them. I mean, no man's promised tomorrow, right? I mean, something, God forbid, can happen to me today, and I've got these little children growing up in an environment where we're right in the middle of a fight that seems like we're losing the battle when it comes to free speech. And so, what do you suggest when it comes to reaching out to the young people? We are, right now we're in touch with a lot of different, colleges and universities, most of them on the private end. But how do we get the attention of those that are, in the far left universities, where there are still some students who would support what we're doing?
Well, I think, when I go on college and university campuses, as a matter of fact, tomorrow night I'm speaking at a local high school baccalaureate. The young people do want to hear a different perspective. They really do, but they want to hear it in a way that they can understand it, they can relate to. And that's why I said, if you put it in terms of why do you want to be controlled by someone else when you don't want to be controlled by me as your parent? That's a key and important thing, that sense of individual freedom and liberty that they want. I think we have to appeal to that. But I will tell you that first and foremost, it starts in your home, and it starts in our churches.
Yep.
Don't have this big thought that I got to go out there and convert, the University of Texas or whatever. But just think about, if you do have your children or grandchildren, every opportunity that you get, just talk to them about these simple issues. Talk to them about, what you see as far as the challenges that we have here. Talk to them about what it used to be in your life. I recently sat down with my daughters. We have, Sunday dinner after we have church, and we talked about the Grammys. Because I remember once upon a time, I could sit down with my parents and we watched the Grammy Awards. I mean, we were excited when the Grammy Awards were coming on. We were excited when the Oscars were coming on. We wanted to see who won Best Picture and everything. But now, I don't think you can sit down as a family and watch the Grammys. Yeah. From what I understand, it's X-rated, this most recent. So talk to your children about those type of things and how you don't want them to be exposed to that, and the type of mentality or the type of ideology that would expose them to that type of denigrating behavior and that type of denigrating performances and things of that nature. So I think that you have to show that you care. We had a saying when I was a young lieutenant in the Army that soldiers don't, let me see, I'll get this right. They don't care about what you know, they want to know that you care. And I think that we have to be able to do that in a very calm and easygoing way, because as it says in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way that they should go, so that when they grow old, they shall not depart from it. And I'm the product of, two great parents that trained me up in that right way. And so when I went to college and was faced with all those challenges in my life, as I've been faced with all these challenges, I always revert back to the lessons that my parents taught me. So just remember to, first of all, take care of your circle, your sphere right there that you understand and know your kids. And when your kids bring their friends over, make sure that they realize my house, my rules. That's just how we roll. And you get that opportunity once again to talk to them and try to be that living example. And slowly but surely, those messages, those little seeds that you plant, they'll end up growing.
Wow. That's a powerful answer right there. Somebody's asking, and I think this is a really important question that we need to, I guess, talk about for a couple of minutes. And the question is, what do you say when someone tries to automatically shut you down by calling you a racist because you're defending free speech?
Well, the interesting thing that I see happening right now in America is that, and it really goes back to Joe Biden's inaugural speech. Joe Biden's inaugural speech was not about unity. Joe Biden's inauguration was about conformity. And if you don't conform to their ideological agenda, there is no unity. So what we have to get people to understand is that I'm not a racist. And this comes back to being able to share history. How many people out there, and I don't know if I can see a show of hands, but how many people out there have seen the documentary Uncle Tom? If you've seen the documentary Uncle Tom, raise your hand. Okay, you can do it on a little click thing there, and Rich can see it. I think that would be a great thing for everyone to see in this era where everything is you're a white supremacist, you're a racist, or whatever. And even Joe Biden said, you know, since I didn't vote for him, I ain't black, which I took as a very idiot thing to say. But trying to put everything in the prism of race, and this has become the new Marxism. The new Marxism is not based upon class separation. It's based upon racial division. And so again, when folks ask me, okay, so Colonel, I'm white, what do I say when someone comes up to me and says Black Lives Matter? I said, this is easy. I said, you just look at them and say, which Black Lives Matter? And therefore you have taken the offense away from them and you have put them back on their heels, because if you really think about it, the only Black lives that matter to them are those that they can leverage for an ideological agenda and a narrative. You know, being a Marxist has nothing to do with the Black community. And really, Black Lives Matter doesn't do anything for the Black community. If you understand the history of the Democrat Party, that's the whole purpose of seeing that documentary, Uncle Tom. They are the purveyors of systemic racism. And that's what I put out on the videos of this past week, when you had this Lamar County Democrat chairman who referred to Senator Tim Scott as an Oreo. That's a very disparaging racial slur. And guess what? The Lamar County Democrat Party and the Texas Democrat Party said, you don't have to resign. You can stay there. We all should be jumping on them, saying, okay, forget about calling us white supremacists or racists because we don't agree with the Green New Deal, or we don't agree with higher taxes, because that's all they're going to try to do. The most important thing, Rich and everyone on this call, all 185 of you, don't respond to it. It's Pavlovian. If you continue to respond and react to someone calling you something that you know you're not, they're going to continue to call you that. So just stop. Okay.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm waiting for more questions. We're getting, let's see. Okay, here we go right here. Well, that's not a question. That's a comment. We're just getting a lot of yays, hoorays, and thumbs up for your answers. I guess we've got a shy crowd tonight. I have a question. I think that that can help all of us, Mr. Chairman, and that is, what can we do locally? So you know, we're getting our voice out there nationally and of course locally, but we're trying to grab as much, you know, as much attention of the country as possible. But when we walk out our doors every morning and we take our children to school, or we're headed to church, or we're doing something, going to the market, whatever the case may be throughout our day, what are some practical ways that we can push back and you know, and make our voice known and our messaging clear?
Well, I think, again, as I said, you know, if every single week, one of the things I do as the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, every Monday, I put out the chairman's Monday message. And that kind of gets everyone on the same sheet of music. You know, whatever I have in my head, I try to get out to people so that they can disseminate, so they can turn around, they can send it out to their friends and what have you. So I think that's one key thing, is that if you have a messaging system whereby someone creates the talking points for the speech movement for that week, and you guys just continue to reiterate those talking points on all different social media platforms, all different type of outlets throughout that entire week. If those things are successful, then you do it another week. If they're not, then you move on to the next talking point. But you want to keep it relevant. I think that's so important. And so it's kind of like what we call top-down planning, but bottom-up refinement, decentralized operations. So it's a great thing for us to get that guidance from up top. But then you got to siphon it and you know, be able to pull it out and talk about, you know, how we can get it out into my community here, my community there, how can I create, you know, that op-ed piece, how I can do the little short video. So it's kind of like a weekly call to action, and getting everybody on that common denominator, that same you know, fighting stance. If there's one thing that I admire about the left, those rascals will come out and all say the same thing at the same time.
They sure will.
I mean, it is such good message discipline. It's almost like, the old Borg from Star Trek Next Generation. I mean, they don't have any identity whatsoever. It's all, resistance is futile. You will assimilate. It's like someone puts a chip in the base of their skull at the beginning of the week on Monday, and they all say the exact same thing. That's what we have to get to. That's not trying to take away your individual ability to think, but at least we have to have, those common, talking points. The old Greeks, the old Spartans, they used to fight by locking their shields. They did not fight as individual soldiers. They locked their shields and they created an impenetrable front. That's what we need to do. So I think that within the free speech movement, maybe you have a subcommittee, several different subcommittees that develop the talking points, develop the messaging that are out there, looking at the key things, that need to be, flashpoints. One of the things that Bill Clinton was really good at was crisis action messaging. I mean, he was always on top of it. So maybe there's a way that we could do that so we can have that crisis action messaging. So bam, we can, when we see something that the left does, we can get it out real quickly, such as, like I just said, you can't say Happy Mother's Day anymore is Birthing Person's Day. Now, Birth Giving Person's Day. I mean, how stupid is that? How more disrespectful that is to mothers, to women, that they don't even want to recognize you. Yeah. And that's a great way to, again, get people who may not be on the side of conservatism, but at least there's a mother out there that she doesn't want to be disregarded, disrespected. She's looking forward to her Happy Mother's Day card. So just little things like that.
Yep. Great answer. Last question, and I think this is a good question to end with. Craig is asking, do we fight solo or do we move to regroup with friendly forces? I personally think we should be working with everybody.
Start out saying you guys ought to give a call up there to the Media Research Center. That's the preeminent conservative media watchdog in the country, and they have a thing called a Free Speech Alliance. And they have a lot of great connections. They have a lot of great resources, and that can help you in many great ways to be able to get your message out even more so. So I don't like it, the fact that we get caught up in our own little stovepipes and what have you. Now, I don't mind you going out and being the gladiator in the arena, but at least if you're going to be the gladiator in the arena, don't go out there without a shield, without a sword, without a spear, without a helmet. Like it says in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18, you got to put on the full armor of God. Well, you can't go out and fight on this battlefield unless you got full armor.
Great point. Wow.
You got to be educated. You got to be activated. And too often what we do as conservatives, we're fired up. We're ready to go, but we're not armored up. When I was in combat, you did not go outside the wire unless you had your helmet, you've done your functions check on your weapon, you got your body armor, you got your ammunition, you're ready to go. And so that's all that I'm saying is that if you're going to go out there and fight solo, please be armored up to be able to do it. I know I just saw someone put up Hillsdale College. Hillsdale College is another great resource with constitutional issues. And I know I saw some people saying where you can find Uncle Tom. If you watch the documentary Uncle Tom, you defeat the left. You defeat everything that they're saying about white supremacy, racism, whatever. How about you all get together and say that, why is it that the council culture is not council Planned Parenthood?
That's true.
Planned Parenthood was founded by a white supremacist and a racist, a woman by the name of Margaret Sanger. She referred to blacks as undesirables and weeds. 73% of Planned Parenthood clinics are located in black communities or inner city communities. So why don't they cancel Planned Parenthood? And see, when you start, that's being the sniper. When you go out there and you start saying these things, and yes, someone said to kill blacks, absolutely right. Since 1973, Roe versus Wade, over 20 million black babies have been murdered in the womb. See, the problem we make as conservatives is we think that everyone knows what we know. But I guarantee you that you have friends out there that are black. They have no clue about what I just said. But you can be the ones with your freedom of speech to open their eyes.
Wow. Wow. Mr. Chairman, this time with you was so valuable. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how much I've learned, and I know our members have learned. And by the way, we've only been in business now for just under 4 months. We have just under 10,000 members. And so a lot of them, Yeah, a lot of them couldn't join us because it's Mother's Day weekend and a
Yeah.
lot going
No,
on.
it's birth giving person's weekend.
I don't know how I missed that one, but yeah, if I went in and wished my mom her day as a birth given person, I'd get slapped even at 49 years old. So,
Yeah.
so that's not happening. Wow. Mr. Chairman, we thank you for your time.
Thank you for
We
having me.
really appreciate it. And we hope that you'll come back and join us again. And we'll keep you updated as to our movement and what we're doing. And we'd love for you to be a part in any way that you feel that you'd like to do.
All right. Now go get them, okay?
We will, for sure. Thank you, sir.
All right.
God
All right.
bless.
Bye-bye. God bless.
Well, wasn't that amazing? That was absolutely incredible. And we're off to the races. Chairman West gave us a great start, and we're in business, and we're taking this and we're running with it. We're going to take everything that he suggested and implement it. We're not going to leave anything out. That's why we brought him on. We want to learn from the best. We want to learn and grow quickly. And so he gave us some great ideas. And we're going to this next week, I'm going to start putting a plan in place to implement and get us all out there. And I'll be sending out an email to everybody and with next steps with our agenda. Stay tuned, stay involved. Be encouraged. Do not get disappointed. We are out there. We are a movement. There are thousands of us out there. You might feel alone. I know I get emails from time to time. Hey, where are you all? Hey, are we still a movement? Yes, we are. And until you get an official email from me that says we are no longer a movement, we are a movement and we're humming down the tracks full speed ahead. And by the way, you'll never get that email from me because it's not happening. We are going to stay in business until we eradicate the cancel culture. And then after that, we'll still stay in business defending free speech in general. I'm sure the left, they're going to cook up something else for us to fight back at once we take care of this. So anyhow, that is all I have for you today. I didn't want to keep you long. I know it's Mother's Day weekend. I know it's Friday night, and I know it's getting late out on the East Coast. I want to thank you personally. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to be a part of this. It's an honor to lead this movement. I won't let you down. Our team won't let you down. We're going to stay on top of this. We're going to stay motivated. We're going to do as much as we can in a short amount of time so that we can take back our country and move away, move this cancel culture garbage out from the country's conversation. It shouldn't even be a conversation. Unfortunately, it is, but we're going to take care of that. So we also, I know I told you we're going to have a raffle. We are. We're going to do something different in terms of the raffle. It's my fault. I didn't have time to actually put together an official raffle online because I don't know how to do that. And so we will do it honestly. I promise you, we're an organization of integrity around here. We've got people watching us like hawks, making sure that we do everything on the up and up. So we're going to do the raffle. We're going to let you know how it's going to be done, and we're going to choose a winner. And I promise you one thing, the winner won't be part of our staff, and it's not going to be me or my family. I'll tell you that. It's going to be somebody out there, and I'm sure everybody's going to know everybody, so you'll know that this was done legitimately, okay? Thank you for your time. Listen, our email address, you can still use the free speech movement at gmail.com. The free speech movement at gmail.com. Go ahead and use that for now until we update you with something different. And I'll answer any questions you have. I'll respond personally, and I'll make sure that that we get all of your questions answered. Okay. Listen, all of you moms out there, happy Mother's Day. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for being mommies. Thank you for taking care of your children. Thank you for being great out there. You're heroes. We wish you well. We wish you great health, success, prosperity, and long life. on behalf of me and our team here at the Free Speech Movement. God bless, and we're looking forward to seeing you all next time. Stay tuned. Look out for our email. Next month, we're going to get together. We're going to do this again. We'll have an announcement as to who our keynote speaker will be, and we'll just keep these going, and we're going to grow nationally. Okay? Thank you. See you all. Have a great weekend. Take care, everybody.